What is going on, gang? Welcome back to the channel. So today, no gameplay footage. We're just going to talk about conquest mode, my thoughts, my tips in general, the 3 decks that I use to win conquest, and hopefully maybe this will help you in the final 2 days to pull out that win for the Infinity Tournament and get you that infinitized border. I guess we're going to coin that term. I don't know. But if you look here, we do have the Collector, Mr. Fantastic, and Darkhawk. And my goal this season was to really learn battle mode. For those that know, I hated battle mode when it came out. I played it a handful of times and was like, yeah, this isn't for me. There's no point in playing this. I don't like playing a deck that is either favored or unfavored for 5 or 6 rounds, you know. But if you look here, I have everything in the store bought, and I have basically 25,000 medals. I actually earned 14 Infinity tickets. I did buy one, so I have done 15 Infinity runs, and I'm sitting currently on 5 golden tickets. I don't plan on playing really anymore. So yeah, I have spent a lot of time inside of conquest mode, mainly because I wanted to try and master it. I wanted to learn it. I felt like I had something to prove, and I'm not gonna lie, I have stressed about this conquest mode for probably a couple of months now, because I was like, man, should I just, you know, if I can't win the Infinity Tournament, should I delete my account? Am I credible? So let's talk about that first. What does winning the Infinity Tournament say about you? Absolutely nothing, because whatever you think you accomplished, there's going to be somebody in the comments, someone in the community to undermine what you accomplished and to have something negative to say, right? If you win, people are going to say, well, you used a meta deck. It doesn't really count unless you're able to just beat players with a non-meta deck. Or, you know, you win and they say, well, you only played bad players, right? You didn't beat the best of the best, right? And maybe that's true a little bit, right? MMR inside of Gold and Infinity is kind of all over the place. You could be playing Lambie series. You could be playing a brand new pool 1 player. There's just not enough players to really have a good MMR inside of it. And MMR is kind of a joke once you hit Gold and Infinity. So yeah. Right? Or if they say, well, you have to do it like 10 times. You don't just do it once. It was a fluke. Right? So first off, put zero merit into thinking that winning the Infinity Conquest has anything to say about you as a player or much less a person. Now, I did have a personal goal. I think content creators put way more stress on themselves when it comes to this stuff because they want to be credible, right? Like, I've won it 3 times. Like, hey, I'm credible. I'm a good player. I'm like, no, you just played bad players. That's why you won, Perry. Right? So like I said, if you're a content creator, there's always going to be someone negative, right? There's always going to be someone that tries to undermine anything that you accomplish. So first off, don't stress about this Infinity board. In fact, look, I mean, let's pull it back up real quick. I hope they change this a little bit, but I mean, it's not that much difference, right? Unless I try to pay attention and look in the corner, you don't really notice it that much, right? It is a bit of a flex for content creators. I think we do stress about this, but ultimately, don't lose any sleep over this. Don't don't Hulk smash your phone, right? I know it can be stressful. The next tip I'm going to share, just general tips, right? We're no gameplay footage. My conquest videos have been way too long, 40 minutes to an hour. No one's got that kind of attention span. Nobody cares, right? And it doesn't do me any good to just put like 1 or 2 video, gameplay footage here, because anybody can post a win, right? But let's talk about it, friends. So I'm going to say this. For one, if you know you're unfavored, right, in a match, you have to be super aggressive. If you're playing Bounce into a Sandman deck where they have Wave that can really hurt you, where they have Sandman that can really hurt you, the first time that you think maybe something is in your favor, maybe it's a 50-50 coin flip that you could pull a 4 and 8 cuber, you have to go for it. You do, because the longer the rounds play out, if you try to go 6 rounds, 7 rounds, 8 rounds when you're unfavored, you're ultimately going to lose that match. We are only playing with 12 cards in our deck. 99% of the time, whatever card beats you, they have it in their hand, right? Especially if it's a card that is played late game, right? If it's not like Kitty Pryde where they need to have it on turns 1 or 2, the odds of them having it by turn 5 or turn 6, yeah, it's pretty likely, right? So you have to understand that you're going to have to be aggressive. If you don't like snapping, I don't think you're going to be very successful in conquest mode. And that was something that I had to get over. I haven't had to really be competitive in ladder in a long time, because no matter how bad I played, there was always going to be like a bot to make up the difference, because my elo was so high. Now that's different now. And in the last month, they had this bug where we all started already at infinite. So I didn't even have to play this month. I've played no ladder since conquest came out, right? The other thing that I will say is you've got to learn snapping, right? Just because you play a good deck, a bad deck, a meta deck, a B tier deck, whatever. If you don't know how to snap and retreat properly, you're just not going to be successful, right? Like I said, I wasn't an overly aggressive snapper. I have now become overly aggressive. There are times that I snap just because I know my deck is more favored than theirs, whether I have a good hand or not, just to say, hey, it's turn one. If you want to keep playing, you're going to have to play for 2 Qs because statistics say I'm going to beat you as these keep coming out. Otherwise, it's like, hey, they snapped. I'm not sticking around for 4 cubes to see what exactly it is that they're playing, right? There are tons of content creators, tons of tips out there, but I will say that if you cannot get the snapping mechanics and the retreating mechanics under your belt, you're going to have a very frustrating time inside of conquest mode, because it's not you can't just get lucky and win one time. You have to repeatedly beat them over and over and over again, and it's very hard to do if you are unfavored into their deck. And like I said, no one likes to snap and then have to retreat, especially like when they see the Ms. Marvel sticker thumbs up come up, right? It's kind of like, hey, I'm trying here, right? Mute all, just mute them. Every time the round starts, just mute them. If the emotes trigger you, just mute them so that you're not, playing head games, right? And so, like I said, that's generally it. Now, I do want to talk about the 3 decks and why I think you can be successful with those 3 decks. And ultimately, if all you care about is winning, I will make a recommendation as far as what deck you should be playing if you can understand the snapping mechanics properly. So we're just going to go ahead and do this in order. Whoa, I don't want to delete this deck. I don't even know what deck this is. Let's start just in order with the decks that I use to win Infinity. Where you at? All right. So the first one. So let's talk about this in general. I have ran Infinity Conquest 15 times. I have won 3 times. Like, well, that's not pretty good, Perry. You're like 1 for 5. Yeah. Let's talk about this for a second. I showed you I had 25,000 medals. I have spent a lot of time inside of Conquest. I burnt myself out before Infinity Tournament opened up. And when Infinity Tournament did open, I was like, I'm not playing Lockjaw. I'm not playing High Evo. I'm not playing all these decks because I'm tired of playing them and I'm tired of playing against them. And, well, you know what? It's harder to win when you're unfavored. I'm not going to make all these excuses, but just I kind of shot myself in the foot because when Infinity Conquest did open up, I was like, I don't want to play something meta. And the thing is, if you care about winning, you need to play something meta. But this first deck is the Sera Surfer, right? Now you say, well, how the heck did you win? Right? Because let's talk about the 3 S tier best decks to be playing right now. Lockjaw, right? The Jane Lockjaw deck. High Evo Control and Bounce. So why does this work? Why was I able to win my first Infinity Conquest with this? Because you've got Invisible Woman into Killmonger. So you're very favored into Bounce. Why? Because on the final turn, they are going to play a massive Kitty Pryde. They're going to play other 1-drops, right? Whether it's Spider Ham or Bastard this, that, and the other. And then you remove so much of their power when Killmonger flips up, right? And you destroy them. 2, you are able to shut down a lane with Storm. So you throw the Storm out, and then luckily, hopefully you have Juggernaut to play behind them. So you win that lane, right? You play the Storm into the lane you don't think they're going to play in. Then you play Juggernaut when they try to sneak some power in. You win that lane. So now you just need to win one other lane, right? And between Killmonger, right, you're able to put out enough power, destroy any kind of power that they put out, and it's GG. Why does this work against Jane Jaw or High Evo Control, right? If you are able to control a lane with Storm, you have Goose, which means they cannot play the Doctor Doom. They cannot play the Massive Hulk into that lane. So you're controlling 2 lanes. You're able to win that as well, right? And so this just performed really well to me. I ran into several bounce decks in my Infinite win with this deck here. And like I said, being able to knock something out with Juggernaut, being able to destroy a ton of power with Killmonger, or the Shadow King. Shadow King being able to bring an Angela, a Kitty Pryde, a Bishop, a hit monkey. All these things basically back down to 0 or 1 power is devastating against bounce. It just destroys them. And so the thing here is that you have the Invisible Woman into either the Killmonger or the Shadow King, and that's why it works. You're putting out decent stats, but also removing a ton of theirs. So we're going to move on to the next deck, and you're going to see some similarity here. Now this deck here is by W. You may know him as WWLOS. He is now going by W Snap. I do highly recommend that if you care about competitiveness and anything Marvel Snap, to be on Twitter. There's a lot of people that aren't content creators that are posting good decks and all kind of stats and everything else. I tend to stay away a little bit because I'm very anti-drama. Like, I just want to play games and have fun. I feel like people play games to kind of escape reality and just have a good time for a little while. So there is some of that on Twitter, but hey, if you're just there for Marvel Snap, you'll find me and some really amazing deck builders and content creators, and there's all kind of stuff for you to find on there. Well, W posted this deck, and I was like, you know what? I think I could take this to infinity, right? I think he did originally, and then I saw KMBest on stream do it, and I was like, you know what? Why not? I'm kind of anti-meta at the moment. Why not play this deck? And you'll see what's the similarity here. You've got Invisible Woman, Killmonger, Shang-Chi. And again, the thing here is that you sneak a Killmonger or a Shang-Chi behind that Invisible Woman. You're saying, hey, you're not allowed to either go tall in this lane, or you're not able to put out a bunch of one drops, and I'm going to put out decent stats, and I'm going to beat you, right? And so that is a similarity between the two decks of Killmonger and this kind of mid-rangey kind of deck with Iron Lad is saying, hey, I'm going to destroy all your power on the final turn, right? You're not going to be able to put your Massive Hulk in my Invisible Woman lane because I'm going to Shang-Chi it because priority no longer matters. I can put out decent stats and remove a ton of your stats, right? And so this deck has really been working. But like I said, I think as long as you put out decent stats, and you are able to run the Invisible Woman that is hiding the Killmonger or the Shang-Chi, where it says, hey, I don't care about priority because ultimately I'm going last, you're able to be competitive because the three decks, like I said, the Jane Jaw, the Bounce, and the High Evo, like High Evo, right? They've got a Sunspot they're floating, a Nebula that they are floating, right? Well, Killmonger just erases them. So now you don't need as much power into their storm lane to take that lane from them, right? You're saying, hey, you're not going to play your Massive Hulk here because when it's all said and done, Shang-Chi is going to pop up, right? This is just a good list. But like I said, you could build anything around Invisible Woman, Killmonger, and Shang-Chi. You could run, a Patriot deck. I've seen a lot of people be successful with that. And that is because ultimately the three best decks are getting shut down by an Invisible Woman on the final turn after the game is done, flipping over a Killmonger or Shang-Chi and removing just all those stats on the final turn. Now, let's go to the final deck. This is the deck that I'm going to say that if you care about winning, your best chances, this is the deck I recommend. I am 9-1 with this in Infinity Conquest. That one being me just being an utter bonehead early in the morning. I was like, I have played so much Conquest. If someone's willing to snap turn one, I'm kind of willing to do it too. Hey, let's go ahead and get this over with in a round or two. This is a great deck. It is your high Evo control. And the reason that it works is like you're just putting out a ton of power. You have Rogue there that if you end up playing a mirror, you take the power away from Luke Cage. If you're playing into something like a Dark Hawk or anything else that has ongoing cards, you take it away with your Rogue. But basically all you're trying to do is sneak a lane with Storm. You take Storm and you sneak something in there that can constantly gets bigger, whether it's Cyclops, shooting down your opponent's cards, or you got that Sunspot or that Nebula, right? And then if you need to cheat out more power into it, you can't put the Doctor Doom, but you basically lock down a lane with Storm, and then hopefully you have Spider-Man that locks down that second lane, and then you either just play the Doctor Doom or the Hulk that wins you the game. And I can honestly say that I had the least competition with this deck. If you truly understand snapping good hands, retreating bad hands, your favorable matchups, your unfavorable matchups, this deck to me was really just easy mode. It didn't matter what I played against, because if you play against bounce, you basically can log down 2 lanes, which really shuts them down. They want to play out a ton of cards. If you're limiting them to 2 lanes, or even better yet, 1 lane, it's hard for them to compete. Same thing against the Lockjaw deck here. The issue is that Lockjaw doesn't play anything till turn 3. So you are able to put out a ton of power just like they can, but you are able to put out a ton of power early on too. So when they do play the Lockjaw on turn 3, you've already been putting power out for 2 turns, and you're also shutting down a lane with Storm. Now they can throw things in there like a Thor, like a Dracula, right? And so there are, you got to kind of learn when's a good time to snap, when's not. But you're able to do better than them because you're not floating turns 1 and 2. You're able to kind of go ahead and start controlling things. And like I said, between Storm and Spider-Man shutting things down, there's not a whole lot that they can do. They can contest 1 lane pretty well. Other side, this is it. Like I said, I've played it a bunch. I have won... what I say, 14 infinity tickets, right? And then, like I said, I should have won 2 infinity tickets. Let's just not make excuses. I was an idiot. With this deck, I've seen Mobile Gamer, Savage Yeti. I've seen tons of posts on Twitter about this deck. This is the deck that I can easily recommend that if you understand snapping, I would be playing this deck right here. I think it is, statistically speaking, probably your best shot at winning 5 games back to back to back to back. So anyways, I know I've kind of been rambling, no script on this video here. I am honestly relieved that I was able to win the Infinity Tournament, let alone 3 times, right? Like I said, I know people are going to say, well, you probably play bad players. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if you were able to achieve the infinity border or not. It doesn't matter. But I do want to share these tips and these decks with you and why they work, and understanding, hey, how are you able to win game after game? Are you able to sneak out the 4 and 8 cubes? And I will say that if you are trying to play something against the meta, Jane Jaw, Evo Control, or Bounce, you have to understand this invisible woman into either Shang-Chi or Killmonger is so incredibly strong. Or you go ahead and you run this deck. This is the deck I recommend if all you care about is winning. I think this is the deck that is going to help you be the most successful. And just because it's got a lot of control, and I think that into the 3 meta decks, this is it, right? Like I said, I think you're favored into Lockjaw. I think you're favored into Bounce. And then when it comes to a mirror, you're just going to have to be smart, right? But ultimately, I try to be very positive and encouraging. I try not to tear people down or be negative. And so I do want to encourage you and say, hey, if you didn't achieve Infinity Conquest, no big deal. It's a lot of time investment. There is some luck. I'm not going to lie. Can you go 5 games without having a boneheaded moment? 5 games where you didn't just queue into someone that has the nuts against you constantly, or has the deck that's favored into you. And you know what? Like I said, if they don't change the infinity border, you've got next month. You're not missing out. You've got next month to go for it again, right? So I just want to encourage you with these decks and some general tips. Like I said, if snapping is not your strong suit, which it wasn't for me, and I am working on getting better, work on those things and you will be more successful inside of conquest mode. Ultimately, I think people should probably focus on ladder because I feel like there's more rewards in that, unless you just really care about boosters, right? Because there is gold and credits, and you do have that infinity bag that is only good for that month. I would probably tend to focus more on that before you really focus on conquest mode, because like I said, you never know what you're going to draw into. You may just play Lambie series and get destroyed, but yeah, anyways, like I said, I just wanted to share these tips, these 3 decks that I used, 2 non-meta, 1 meta. You can win it with anything. It just depends, right? But like I said, don't lose no sleep over this. A lot of rambling. I can see people like dislike. I want to see gameplay footage. I don't want to hear this guy ramble. He's not good enough looking or has a good enough sounding voice for me to sit here and listen for 15 minutes. I get it. But if you did stick around this long, I definitely appreciate all the subscriptions I've had. We are coming up on 500. If you want to help me achieve that, it'd be greatly appreciated. I would, thank you kindly. We'd be halfway to monetizing the channel, which, y'all know I care about that 5 cents they gonna send me once a month. But anyways, I will catch you guys later. Y'all be good. Y'all be safe. I'll catch y'all in the next video. And good luck out there. If y'all got some Infinity Conquest tickets or whatever saved up, don't be scared. Worst thing that can happen is you can lose, right? So yeah, we got a new season coming out. Best of luck on ladder. Best of luck on Infinite Conquest. I will obviously be posting more videos. And my voice kind of cracked there. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. I'm looking for high Evo to get a knockdown. So run this list before the next OTA, because I'm assuming I say OTA, next patch. You may want to run this because there's no way high Evo is not gonna take some nerfs. It's just too strong, and I think too overly played at the moment. It's a great deck, but it's beatable. It's beatable. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next video.